Hey everyone, it's Kaz. How are you doing? Well, I really hope your day has been as bright as my shirt. I know it's pretty loud, but I'm sure you can bear with me. Well, welcome to another episode of How Did You Act Today? 26 years ago. Wow. Quarter of a century, folks. That's a long time. Well, when I was 19 years old, so that was 26 years ago. So when I was 19 years old, I was only working, then coming home, getting VHS tapes. For folks that are a little younger who are watching this, that's a tape that we used to have to watch movies in. It didn't have a phone or an iPad. We actually had to go to a store, rent a VHS tape, and bring it home. Now they have DVD players and stuff like that, which is a little bit similar. But even to fast forward, we had to wait till the tape got to that point. We couldn't just slide the timer over to it. But anyways, when I was young, all I did is I just worked and I watched movies and I worked and I watched movies again. Is your life sounding very similar to that? Where it just seems like every day you're grinding it out and you're really not going anywhere. I had a friend who sat down with me and said, "Hey, why don't you come join our group? We're doing a study, we're doing a Bible study, and we're learning about Jesus." And I was like, when I was growing up, I did know a little bit about him, and even gave myself to him when I was very young, but I didn't really know him at that point. Well, after spending some time with him, I gave myself to him, and after that, I suddenly found out that, what is my purpose in life? Why am I here? Part of this video series with you is that reason. So I got down and bent a knee, and one of the first prayers I ever really, put my full heart and my full soul into was to ask for my soulmate. And I can't tell you at that point in my life, who at 19 asks? And I had a lot of criteria. I kind of prayed. I didn't just say, "Hey, send me." I actually asked for the one that would just complete me and fill up. Now, here is the miracle part. My wife was a little older than me. She was in Germany. So to kind of give you context, I'm from Florida. That means when I joined the military, the chance of me getting a particular job that would then get me stationed in Germany, thousands of miles away from where I grew up. Where I went to tech school was in Mississippi, so even further away. Now, in Germany, I was near Frankfurt. My wife is near. The place where we met was a nightclub that had 2 dance clubs, 2 bars, 2 cinemas under one roof. So with my wife, she also had gone through a failed marriage and was just tired of being alone. So she had a friend as well who had similar situation, but she had a couple of good friends. Well, this friend was looking for Mr. Right in all the wrong places. She went to this nightclub regularly thinking Mr. Right was going to be there. And so I explained, every weekend, thousands of people went to this club to drink, dance, hook up, and do drugs. Not ideal situations to find your soulmate, but let me continue. On the way out, her friend asked her, she didn't want to go, but she knows this is a place where you don't want to go by yourself. So my wife said, "I'll go ahead and go with you, so that way you're safe." But before she left, the exact same night that I went, she also went down on bended knee below a cross and pretty much said she was tired of not having her soulmate. And underneath that cross in her hallway, she asked Jesus to send her the one that he picked for her. So later on that night, we met in the nightclub. But let me specify, this nightclub was not in Frankfurt. It was very far away in northern Germany from where even I lived. In a city I'd never been to, with people I didn't normally hang out with, and there she was. I walked up to her, And, I was searching for the one because I felt that God had put me on a journey to find my soulmate. And that light, ladies and gentlemen, I did. I went up to my wife. She was wearing a cross. And I asked her, I said, is that cross just for fashion? Or do you believe in what it stands for? And her thoughts, according to her, she almost about fell out of her chair. Because you remember what I just told you, she had prayed that night. So for me, I was a guy on a mission, okay? And I was low crawling. I was trying to find that one. And for her, in the least likely of places, from another country, in a place thousands of miles away, we met. And so we talked until the morning. And here we are 26 years later, happily married. So, to my wife, know that I will always love you. And I thank you for making me the man I am today. And ladies and gentlemen, that's just one of the many miracles that have happened in me and my wife's life. If we're part of the greater good, we're going to run that race that lasts forever. If we're not, we're only going to do it for money, for prizes, for temporary gain, maybe even temporary glory. So what I challenge you is, this chapter is about living life and not letting life live you. Okay, let me repeat that. You need to live life and not let life live you. So let's start off with a good verse. In 1 Corinthians 9, there is a first part of it where it says people are running a race, but they have a choice of why they're running the race. And remember, we discussed whether you're in charge or you're a person, you need to determine what race we're running and why we're running it for. So it says they do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get the crown that will last forever. So what that means is you can choose to create an environment that will be only for temporary gain, it'll only lift people up for a moment, or you can run the long, hard race. Remember, first step of 1,000 miles is one step. So in your comfort zone, what you need to do is ask your question, is the excitement gone? When you're going through, are you challenging yourself? Are you purposely putting yourself in situations outside of your comfort zone? Imagine your comfort zone is a box. Anything inside of it is everything that you learned from a childhood, from your experiences from growing up, or those people who of your influence that taught you. There's 3 ways that we learn. We learn through trial and error. Trial and error is on how we walk, talk, learn how to ride a bike. Next is modeling. Modeling is when you admire somebody, or somebody with influence teaches you a positive habit or a negative habit. In my life, my wife has taught me what love is. My wife has taught me how to be empathetic to people, how not to buy flowers maybe on Mother's Day, leave them in the car all day, and then bring them home all wilted. Okay? So with that, you can choose, and I modeled and I learned that what is good and what is bad, but also verbal behavioral programming. That means words have associations. So do you have your circle of trust? Those are the people that are closest to you that will influence you the most. Are they talking about good things? Are they talking about building you up? Are they talking about the future? Are they talking about your forever like we are today? Or are they just talking about, did you believe what so-and-so did? Oh my gosh, what's on the TV? Instead, or are you trying to run your forever race? I challenge you that you run with me by taking that first step in whatever that is. So in order for us to go forward, we have to kind of look back. So when you look at your childhood, when you look at your teenager years, what type of person are you? And you might have to overcome some things, and we'll talk more about the specific things like how to hear better, how to talk better, what are the power of words, and maybe even how to think a little better. But for now, the question I leave you with is, what kind of person are you today? And what kind of person do you want to be tomorrow? So when we run this race of 1,000 miles together, how do you want to grow? Remember, I will always go back to the example of running this YouTube channel. 4 months ago, I knew nothing about really running YouTube except how to binge watch it, how to binge watch Netflix, and how to play games all night long and wake up the next morning when my family woke up. I no longer want to do that. I don't want to let life live me. I want to live life. Jeremiah 29:11 says he has a plan for us. So that means everybody here was put on this earth to do some greater good. But trust me, there are people who want you to be complacent. They don't want you to be successful. They don't want you to grow. So in growth, you need to know that words are cheap. Trust me, for the longest time I've been saying I was going to do this for 5 years. Try to fail forward. But you hear that word? Try. So in order to fail, you have to try. Next step with me next week. I'll leave you with how did you act today